Good morning, everybody. What a wonderful morning it is. Happy Monday morning. Happy Monday morning. It's time for morning manna. Let's get into the word this morning. Got a word for you on this morning. Hope you had a good weekend. Hope you had a great weekend. Hope you attended church via online, whatever your church is, wherever it is. Hope you were watching intently, engrossed in what the word was on this past weekend. And if you were streaming with us, I know that you got a word. I know that there was some fantastic worship going on in your house as well as God's house. Hey, it's time for morning manna. We're going to get into the word. You know what it is. Let me go real quickly. Excuse me. It's the text, the talk, and the takeaway. It's the text, the talk, and the takeaway. I'm going to give you a text. We're going to talk about it, and then there's going to be a takeaway. Now, what do you have to do? You already know. You got to give the hearts and the likes. You got to share the manna. Can't keep it to yourself. Got to give the comments, and you got to put us in the notifications so you know when it's coming. So here we go. Let me give you the text. Now, before I give you the text, let me just ask this question. I don't know about you, but I'm ready for this to be over. Can I get a raise of hands? I'm ready for this to be over. And I will tell you, I wasn't knocked back. I wasn't defeated or anything like that. But when the governor said this past week, hey, we're going to go through May, I was like, man, come on. Not that I'm going to disobey the laws of man. This is in my own interest. I want to stay alive just like you. But I do think it is okay to admit I want this to be over. And in thinking that way, let's raise this question. What comes after this? I think that's a fair question to ask. What comes after this? I just refuse to believe that God will permit us, let me personalize it. I refuse to believe that God will permit me to go through all of this and there not be something after this. Let's talk about this morning. Here's the scripture. Galatians 6 and 9. Galatians 6 and 9. Let us not be weary in well-doing, for we will reap in due season if we faint not. Let us not become weary in doing good. We, at the proper time, will reap if we faint not. Okay, what comes after all of this? First thing that comes to my mind is this. After every trial, there is a verdict. After every trial, there's a verdict. We're in the midst of a trial. If you haven't figured that out, we are in the midst of a trial. Now, I'm not suggesting at all that God has caused this to happen, but we live in a fallen world, and because we live in a fallen world, fallen things happen. Okay? And so we are in the midst, and God uses things to his end. So we're in the midst of a trial. And after every trial, there's a verdict. What is the verdict? The verdict is usually this. It's either innocent, guilty, or hung jury. What's the verdict going to be concerning you? This is what the word says about a verdict. It says in 1 Corinthians 10:13, there is no trial, there is no temptation in King James, but the word temptation that is used there, in that context, it means trial. There is no trial that has not come upon you, that is not common to every man. Everybody goes through a trial, is what Paul is saying. And he says that God will not give you the ability to overcome. With the trial, he will make a way of escape. So I'm looking for my verdict to be not guilty. I'm looking for my verdict to be innocent. I'm looking for my verdict to be a great verdict on the other side of this pandemic. Second thing is this. After every test, there is a grade. After every test, there is a grade. There is pass, not pass. There is A, B, C, D, or F. Now, I remember when I was in college, I was introduced to pass, not pass. It was the most wonderful thing I've ever found in my life. I struggled in undergrad. I said, Bishop, you got all kind of degrees. Yes, I struggled. I graduated undergraduate with a 2.16. I barely made it. I kid myself by saying I saw my way through. I saw more seas than anything else, but I got up out of there. It was a struggle. Now, here's the issue here. When I was struggling in some classes, I found out through the registrar's office that I could put a request in for certain classes for a grade of pass, not pass. Now, that was that was something that blessed me more than anything else. Now, didn't give me GPA, but it did say I could move on to the next class. So I picked some tough classes and I had pass, not pass. In the midst of this, after this, baby, I'm passing. I hope you are too. God is going to cause us to pass. How do I know that? Jude 24, come here. Here's the word that we're going to stand on. He says, I'm going to present you faultless. After this, he's going to present us as passing the test. You know what? I'm going to make an A, and you are too. After this, we're going to pass. Here's the third thing I want you to grab. After every famine, there is a feast. I cannot find anywhere in Scripture where there was not a famine or a situation that would engulf the whole country, that at the end of it, God had a feast waiting for it at the end of it. It's 2 Kings 7:4. You know the scripture well. It says, here are these two lepers. They're sitting on the city edge at the gates, and they're saying, if we stay here, we're going to die. If we go into the city, we're going to die. We might as well just go into the city. Now, the word was later on, about a few verses later, all of the famine, all of the shut-in that the Assyrian army was putting around the Samaritan territory of Israel was over. There was a feast after the famine. So what's your takeaway this morning? Your takeaway this morning is this. There's going to be a reward. Let's go back to the text. There's going to be a reward after this. And I don't know about you, but I'm looking for God to give me a reward. I'm not going through all of this to end up on the other side to just say, oh, I went through that. No, let's think about this. Why would God permit us to live in this historical moment, you and I? How is it that we will be born such that we would be able to live through this historical moment? A historical moment of this proportion, and he not have something great after this. Oh, I'm believing God, and I'm putting a demand on God. God, I don't know what yours is, but let's kind of count it down as I kind of close out here. God, I need a financial breakthrough after this. God, I need to be stronger in my spirit, man, after this. God, I need my family to stay intact after this. After this, God, I need to move higher in you and on my job and in every situation that I'm in. After this, there's going to be something greater in my life. Let's keep talking about that this week. That's what I'm going to deal with this week. We got to look beyond this moment. We got to look beyond May, beyond June, wherever you live, whatever the state you're in. Let's look beyond this moment and see what God has for us. Let's come out of this moment and move to the next moment, because I'm looking for tomorrow. I'm tired of today. Hey, the Lord be with you. May his face shine upon you, give you peace. I got more for you tomorrow. Share the manna. Bye now.